Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Soshing with Suntwe. It's Wednesday again, that time, and we're back in the seat. Just give us 2 minutes while the feed populates, and give us a chance just to share it around. If you would all do the same, that would be wonderful. Tag anyone you think might be interested. Share it with your friends. Get us some audience going so that we're not talking to ourselves. Yeah, let's get this done. So, get onto the page.
Just gonna...
Right, here we are.
Okay, supposed to be live right now, right? Like I can't. It's not showing here.
It's not showing on my page yet.
It's not showing on your page. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
No,
nice.
it's showing now. I can see you. I can see you. Okay. I see you now.
Nice.
I see us.
Great. So, that's done. So, I've done all my sharing.
Okay, hold on.
Right, so far we got 4 people watching.
Nice. Hi, guys.
Yeah. If you're watching, just drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always interesting to see who is watching from what part of the world. Yeah, today we are joined by Smokey P, also known as Prince Dube. Prince and I met in Victoria Falls a few years ago, where he specifically contacted me in the capacity of a drone pilot to help him film a music video that he was producing, which was a very different experience for me, having never done that sort of thing before. And Smokey P is a multifaceted individual who produces various music videos, is quite involved in the arts and entertainment industry in Zimbabwe, as well as humanitarian efforts with a trust that he founded called the Young and
Gifted Africans, or
Young and Gifted Africans Trust, which is wonderful. I'm going to actually put a link in the comments about that, both the video and that. But Smokey, if you could tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, where you come from, and how you got into the music industry in the first place.
Well, first of all, man, thanks for this opportunity. And wow, who would have known that, just that little time that we spent, together working on that video would lead to such a friendship. And thanks to Vusa, because he's, Vusa is the magnet. He knows everybody, and Vusu Buhle Moyo.
Yeah, and just for the viewers at home, it was Vusa's brother who was on last week, Sisa. So Vusa seems to be a common denominator to a lot of things at the moment with us.
He is. He's most definitely. He knows. I think he knows almost everybody. So yeah, thanks to him. And so a little background about myself. So my real name is Prince Dube. I was born and bred in Victoria Falls. I was schooled here. I spent about maybe total of 3 years of my primary school in Bulawayo. But then, I came back to Victoria Falls, and I completed my primary school and my secondary school here in Victoria Falls.
So if Victoria Falls is home, where is home?
Victoria Falls is home, and home is in Chinotimba, the old suburb. So I live in, that section we call Emma Railways. That's where I live. Yeah, and that's where I was born and raised, and even now, that I'm older and I still stay there.
And rural home?
A rural home, like I don't know, because rural home. Okay, I only went once, and I was very young, I was like teeny weeny little kid, and I don't really have a memory of it, but I think it's in Cholocho, and that's my mom's role. My dad's role is somewhere in the Mashonaland region.
Nice. Okay, cool. So proper Vic Falls, eh?
So I'm proper Vic Falls, you know. I'm totally a Victoria Falls guy.
Not an immigrant like I was.
Well, yeah.
So the music industry,
yeah,
that's quite a tough industry in Zimbabwe. It seems to be up and coming in the last 10 years or so. It seems to have made massive jumps forward. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got into the music video business.
So I've always been into the arts. Like growing up, I mean, that's all I could dream about. You know, I've always wanted to be involved in music. I've always wanted to be involved in filmmaking. You know, just entertainment. You know, as a whole. Like I've always wanted to be in that. So, growing up, at school, I was in drama clubs. I was in drama clubs, though, you know, they were not like the cutting edge type of, you know, drama clubs or groups that I had in mind. You know, it was just the basic, you know, stuff. But anyway, I just kind of fell in love with all of that, you know, that good stuff. And but unfortunately, you know, Vic Falls, man, you know, exposure. It's a very small town, right? And I don't remember like a lot of people like growing up who actually encouraged me to, you know, to go into music. With my family, you know, they never really understood like why, you know, like why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be, you know, involved in this kind of stuff? But I don't know, you know, when you have this innate feeling, it's like something that you're born with, you know, it's just kind of like a drive, you know. So I just grew up with that, and I thought maybe in time it would, you know, the curve will flatten, but no, it just kept going up. And eventually, after finishing high school, I just thought, let me just pursue this full time. And that's when I went to Bulawayo. That's where all the studios were. So it was either in Bulawayo or in Harare. So the closest for me was in Bulawayo. So I made that trip to Bulawayo, and I attempted my first album.
Your own personal album?
My own personal album.
Okay, cool.
Back in the day, I was a hip hop artist, you know, because hip hop was the thing, man. It was the thing. And my biggest influence was Tupac, you know, because of his poetry, you know, his use of just words. It just caught me, you know. And so I used to do a little bit of hip hop, and Vusa, the common denominator. And I actually made one trip to Bulawayo, where he literally just froze, you know, in front of the mic. He always takes me back, you know, every time. He always says, Smokey, I owe you, bro.
So where do we hear your album?
So my latest album is on iTunes, actually. It's called Taka. It's on iTunes. It was released about 2 years ago. It's a 14-track album. It's on every store out there. Like, so you can find it on iTunes, on Deezer. You can find it everywhere. Yeah.
You're gonna have to put the link to some of it in the comments.
Okay, I'll send you the link.
That's cool. So how many albums have you got so far? If that first one was long back and this is your latest album, how many albums in between?
Oh, so man, that's a long story, because I only have like 2 albums that I've done for myself, because after I came back from Bulawayo, well, what I saw when I was in Bulawayo just kind of, you know, changed my my perception of just the music industry, as all. Because when I was back at home, I had this fantasy like, oh, this is how it's going to look. This is how it's going to be. I always thought like artists would be like respected because you're an artist and blah, blah, blah. Oh my goodness. It was so different. When I got there, like, look, we were recording at this guy's house, Joe Masego, and may his soul rest in peace because he passed away last year. He was a really nice guy. But like we were recording at his house, and there were benches outside. So, would be like in the blistering cold waiting for our turn. And, you could be out there like for hours, just waiting for your turn. And that was the first time where I was like, wow, this feels different. It feels different from what I had in my head, because I thought like it was going to be like this big old studio and, but that was the first time I got introduced to home studios, right?
And there's some good ones in there. It's quite impressive.
Of course. I mean, now I think things are different. Things have changed. And I'll tell you, like back then when I first went into music, like they didn't use computers at the studio. He had this keyboard. Everything was programmed via the keyboard, and it went into a tape.
Oh wow!
And it was and when you recorded your vocals, it went into what they called a DAT tape. It was a tiny little tape, digital audio tape, and that's where your master goes in. And then they would send your recorded work to a bigger studio for mixing, which is different now because I do everything in my computer. Like I have my keyboards, I have my drums, I have like everything I need in there. So,
you can literally produce an entire album from your bedroom now. It's incredible.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, have you had much to do with his stage name is So Kindly, Shane?
Shane, no.
He's also in Vic Falls.
Shane, I
don't know why I'm blanking on his surname at the moment for some stupid reason. I know him extremely well, but I just can't for the life of me think of it right now. When I think of it, I'll tell you. Shane Peel.
Shane Peel. Okay.
He does a lot of production at home in Vic Falls, and he's really good as well. But yeah, what year were you recording in Bulawayo when it was like that?
Come again?
What year do you think that was when you were recording and using those tapes and stuff?
It was in 2003.
Oh yeah, so that's a long time ago. Because
I was just fresh out of high school.
A lot of people don't know this, but I come from a dancing background, and in 2005, 2006, I used to have a hip hop crew.
I got a beat. Let's see you. Let's see you pass some moves.
I'll send you a clip, but yeah, I used to have a hip hop crew that I used to dance with, and we used to spend quite a lot of time in a recording studio in Bulawayo. I can't remember which one it was called, but it was in Burnside somewhere. It was actually at a priest's house, father, someone or another, and and we used to mix our tracks there for our shows and for our competitions. And you laugh, bro. We were good. Yeah.
Everything about your story, just okay. Looking at you now and hip hop and the crew, like you, hip hop crew, dancing, and mothers so and so's. It's yeah.
You would have laughed because I used to be such. Sorry, what was that?
I totally see you doing that. I totally see you.
I used to wear a do-rag and everything. Don't joke, bro. All right, sorry guys, we've killed Prince. Whilst he's busy laughing at me, I'm just going to take some have a look at who's joined us here. And, wow, we've got quite a few people who tuned in. From Vic Falls, we've got Trish Mambinge. She's from Sheerwater. Johan Hatting from South Africa saying, we're champions. We've got Bonnie Murphy saying, hey, y'all. We've got Nicole D'Souza. She's in London at the moment. And insanely blonde hair. Yeah, I have insanely blonde hair. It's actually a new thing that I have hair. Most people know me without much hair.
Yeah, I mean, you totally look different because the last time you had the mohawk.
Yeah.
And
I had a mohawk for something like 10 years, and I only got rid of it at the beginning of this year. So, Christine Robinson from Essex, England. Hello to both of you. Wendy Whitehead saying word up. Chosen from Vic Falls. What up, brother? Long time.
Chosen, my guy.
And Alexandra from Sweden / Vic.
Oh, Alex. Mwah. Hey, baby girl. How you doing?
Yeah, some familiar names and faces.
Yep.
Becky Banks, Norman and Ndlovu. Yo, Smokey, what's up? All the way from Germany. She used the N-word. I couldn't use it, so I don't know if it's right or wrong. I just stay away from it.
He says, what did he say? Smokey my nigga.
I'll show you.
You gotta be politically correct. All right.
There you go. So I just stay away from that at the moment because someone might burn down a fucking building or something if I say it.
Man, yeah. It is what it is. These days you always have to be PC, and it's so weird. I mean the world is it's very touchy-feely, so
it's fucking bullshit, and I think it's bullshit.
I mean it's all over. It's all over. And sometimes, you might be I have or should I say I had this friend of mine. She was obviously, white, and she, she used to take pictures of me on most of the time. She would say, "Oh, you're too black, you're too black." And no, like look, sometimes I would take pictures of her and say, "Oh, you're too white," because sometimes, most of the time, like if I was shooting pictures of her out in the sun,
it's an exposure.
The exposure, you know what I mean? So I never took offense, but of course, then you find some people going, "Why do you let her talk to you like that?" Or, because, I mean, we are more, I guess, I don't know. The world is fragile, man. The world is very.
What I think people have forgotten to find the nuance between the intention with which something is said and what is said. They take too much value on the word. Or the words, and not the value on the intention behind the words. So like as boys, we can say something to each other that sounds harsh if it was coming from a stranger, but knowing each other, we're saying it with love. It's a completely different context. So I think
it is.
I think people need to take a giant teaspoon of cement, harden the fuck up, and stop being so sensitive. That's the bottom line. But anyway, we'll leave that shit to the politicians.
Leave that for another day.
I'm getting a bit jealous here because you seem to be getting a hell of a lot of love from a hell of a lot of ladies here. She has Yolanda saying, "We love you, Smokey," from your girls. We've got Shiro. Hey, Smokey.
Oh, Shiro. Oh, my goodness. So Shiro is the first female artist that I worked with. She was, we started off like when she was very, I think she was still at school, and I was just coming back from my whole, Bulawayo deal. And, I was just trying to set up my studio. And look, Shiro, if you're watching, you need to come back to music, baby girl. You need to come back to music. Very talented, but took different turn. Yeah.
Here's another one from Becky. You used the F word, man. Oh no.
Come on, Becky.
As I said to Prince when we weren't on air yet, I said I'm not going to hold back or censor my views or my talking, because
there are no filters, bro.
There's no
filters, bro.
You got to keep it real. Otherwise, who am I pretending to be? Let's keep it real. And but one rule is never say fuck in front of the KIDS.
Okay. Yeah. We should have that little, 18 plus only sign.
Yeah, we stick it up in the corner somewhere there.
But kids don't do Facebook, honestly.
It's an old people thing now, eh? Facebook is.
I'd be concerned if we were on like Instagram, because then they'll be minors. This is for oldies, and I'm not old, but this, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg's got to do something, bro.
Facebook is for old people now, unfortunately. It's moved away from the young guys. The young guys are all about Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter, eh?
Yep. It is what it is. Okay, let's go back. Where were we?
Yeah, we very much derailed. So we were talking about Bulawayo studios and how they used to be and all the rest of it. Now you said you're producing mostly from home, and you've got your own studio. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, he's got a very professional setup there with a nice a mic and everything, which is why his voice sounds so amazing on here, and I sound like a dead squirrel. But I'm getting some advice from him later after we sign off on what equipment I should get for my setup here. So hopefully we'll start moving into a bit more of a professional setup for me too. But yeah, bit by bit. But I thought, I've actually got your video that we worked on together. I thought I'd play a small clip of it in the stream. So,
yeah.
So this was in 2017, wasn't it?
This was in 2017, yes. Beginning of 2017.
Yeah. So it was that's when you gave me a call and I came in. So I can only take credit for some of the drone shots, all the directing, all the other photography, everything else, the production, the everything was Smokey. So he's the man. But this is the video here, and we'll give it a small play and you can have a look. You can comment on it as it goes if you like.
Those were some great drone shots, man. Like, seriously.
It was a lot of fun, eh? Like that, I really enjoyed that day. It was such a different experience for me.
And I think this was the first time that I actually came close to.
I'm trying to see if I can adjust the volume. Oh, there we go. Sorry, you were saying this is the first time?
So this was the first time for me to come close to it. I mean, you were like a genius, with the drone.
I was faking it till I make it, bro. That's the truth.
Really? Because I was so scared. Like, okay. This was one of those shots that we made because, but you made it, a little easier because we had those walkie-talkies, that we could communicate because we're so far, apart.
The walkie-talkies are there. Can you see them?
Should have left them here, bro.
They're the very same ones we used.
You don't need walkie-talkies in UK, man.
You'd be surprised. The cell phone reception here is absolutely shit. Anyway, that's the video, guys. If you want to see it, the link I shall put in the comments. But yeah, that was the video that we worked on together. So tell us again a bit more now. So you don't just do the videos; you actually produce the music and everything behind the video. How does this? What does it actually? How does it work? I mean, I can see here Becky again is saying, "Smokey, I need a serious flow from you right now, man." So obviously he's also an artist that you've worked with before and is looking for you to produce a track for him too.
Becky, my guy, this is not the platform. Okay.
You got to strike while the iron's hot, bro.
We'll come back to you, man. Okay. We'll come back. Anyway, you were saying, you were asking me about, just, doing the production and
you write the actual music, the tracks?
Yeah. It's kind of, I will be honest with you. It's not easy. Okay.
I can imagine.
And it's not. And I have, I think I've worked on my talents. I think I only had like just this one talent at the beginning. And a necessity, brought me into all these other, talents. I kind of, like I said, being, born and raised in Victoria Falls, very small town. And at that time, there really was no studio. People had no understanding, of what it is that I was, what I was on about. So, from learning how to produce music on my own, because I never went to music school. So that's the thing. I never went to music school. I had to learn, just from my head, and I got introduced to computers at a very early age, through my uncle. He had a computer in his house, and I would, every time he would leave, I would, he would disassemble it, but every time he would leave, I would, try to put it together, and until I learned how to use it and all this other stuff. So that helped me when I came, like I said, when I came back from Bulawayo, and I was thinking, hey, I need to try and set up a studio for myself. I started looking around for, cheaper ways of setting up a studio, but they really, weren't cheaper ways, because it's either you bought yourself that Korg, which was, I think it was going for thousands of dollars at that time, that keyboard, and, all this other expensive gear, which of course I didn't have the money for. So until a friend of mine who was into computers as well, his name is Noel, used to work for Telco. He said, hey, introduce me to the internet. He was like, you know what, you want to come to my office, play around with the computers. And one day, as I was sitting there in front of his computer, I saw this tiny little icon, and I was like, what does this thing do? He was like, oh, some guy, came and installed that. I don't know what the hell it does. So I opened it up, and it kind of looked familiar. And that was the first time that I, stumbled up, across FL Studio, which is the software that I've been using since, and it changed my life, because it taught me that I could literally have a studio inside the computer. I didn't need to buy, a guitar or, get a band and stuff like that. So I learned from that. That's when I started learning production, and then from there, just life kind of teaches you these things. And I wanted covers, I wanted covers like how these guys do them in the US, but there was nobody who understood that, like how to take a photo, a professional photo that can go into. So I had to teach myself. I had to do that, and I had to go online. So this is hundreds of hours of online tutorials. How to. If you go into my YouTube, it's like how to. Everything is how to Skype, how to how to talk to a girl, how to make salsa, how to, because that's the world, that's the world, and that's how I learned,
But this is the amazing thing these days, because this my drive in life is also, it's about skills acquisition, and I like to accumulate skills and learn skills, and I feel like if I'm not learning something at any given time, then I'm wasting time. So,
of course.
And the incredible thing is that we're living in an age now where there's nothing that you cannot learn from YouTube, nothing that you cannot learn from internet. And if you even like with jobs and stuff, if you're owning a company and you're hiring people, you shouldn't be hiring people based on skills. You should be hiring people for the type of people they are, the kind of attitude they have, because skills acquisition can happen like that. There's nothing you can learn.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you need an electrician, you've got to hire an electrician who's got the skills. But I'm talking about like more generalized type of jobs, like management jobs and that sort of thing. You shouldn't be hiring a manager based on his ability to do Excel spreadsheets. You should be hiring him on his ability to interact with other human beings and lead. And I think a lot of companies have fallen short on the fact that they're hiring skills instead of hiring attitudes and leaders. But yeah, there's no excuse anymore. There's absolutely nothing standing in the way for someone to acquire the skills necessary to chase what they want to do and do it. I mean, I've done with all my own little businesses and branding and stuff. I do all my own Photoshop and all that sort of thing. And exactly like you, it's just tutorial. My video editing that I did for when I was doing a lot of adventure sports stuff, also just online tutorials, and even down to the intro graphics, learning how to do Adobe After Effects.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's long hours of work. That.
Oh man, look, I have I've tried almost like everything, but with After Effects, I have told myself that this is one monster I do not want to attempt, because I have tried. I think it just needs people with that much patience. You're working frame by frame, and you're working with sometimes thousands of frames, and you have to change each frame. Just you gotta have the patience for that. So I'm kind of limited to Adobe Audition, and that's what I use for my vocals. Adobe Premiere, which is what I use for video.
I use it as well.
I use a little bit of Adobe, After Effects. Just a tiny little bit. Like I would probably make a title, just I'll probably just create a title and that's it.
After Effects, I made like a couple of little intro videos that I used as like logo drop type stuff.
Yeah.
And that was me done. I was like, this is where I drew the line as well, exactly like you. This is Adobe After Effects is like an entire career that you have to pursue.
It is. And also, not to mention that you need a computer that is strong enough, to process all those graphics. And I mean, I'm only using a P7, a Core i7, and it's like, nah, with After Effects, if you are really looking to do the real stuff, you probably need a Mac and a good one.
Yeah, my PC struggles even with the Premiere Pro because it's old now. I need to upgrade. But yeah, so let's move on and let's talk about your trust. So this is another interesting aspect of this man's multifaceted character. Tell us about your trust, how you started it, where you started, how it came about, what it is.
Well, so I'm going to take it back just a little bit. So when I was still doing this whole music thing, right at the beginning of my music career in Bulawayo, trying to get my music recorded and that kind of stuff, one thing I noticed was, it wasn't just us guys. There were, ladies as well. There were girls as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, not to say this happens, everywhere, but, at that time, there was just something, off. Us as guys, we could be like sitting out there like in the blistering cold, you know, but then, there'll be like stuff that's going on, and then you hear people talking about it, about girls going in there and, getting favors they wouldn't pay, you know, to get their stuff recorded. They'll just, try and, they'll work out ways, not, yeah, to pay for their studio time, but their products never came out. They never made it. Never heard them on radio. So you realize, as you are, in this industry, that women, most of the time, are taken advantage of. Sometimes they're promised, hey, I'm going to do this for your career. I'm going to do A, B, C, D for your career, but at the same time, they get sexually abused. And most of the time, their careers never, never happen. And so,
empty promises, eh?
just empty promises. And then also it doesn't help that most of the ladies who are really like, who are talented as well, they sometimes, because they don't get backing from family, like family doesn't support them, because most of the time family doesn't support artists. Family will tell you, why don't you be a doctor? Why don't you become this? Why don't you become that? And so, they will sneak out of their, homes, to try and get their, this career set up and stuff like that. So if something happens to them while they're in the studio, or it becomes a difficult or challenging thing for them to tell the next person that, oh, I got sexually assaulted. Where were you? I was at, what were you doing there? Right. And so, you start to see that women are, most of the time, they're vulnerable, right? And then the other thing was, when I was there were no female producers, right? No female engineers. In fact, like I really haven't heard of like female executives in the entertainment industry in Zimbabwe. I haven't heard. There are a few. I know there are a few women who are now going into film. Most of them, you find that they are, screenwriters and stuff like that. But it's only, like a handful of them, who become executive producers, or who own studios, or who becomes the producer or the engineer for a studio. So it was a culmination of years for me going into the nonprofit world. It was kind of like a slow process. It began in 2008. I came across this nonprofit organization that was based in the US called the National Association for the Prevention of Starvation, NAPS in short, and I became the coordinator for their programs here in Victoria Falls. It was more, we're mostly focused on emergency aid, relief, and stuff like that. We went as far as Malawi to offer food aid and stuff like that. But I still, it still didn't feel like home, right? And there was lots of religion, religious politics involved with that group. So I left. And in 2012, I joined the Rose of Charity, which is like the local orphanage here. And I was doing a totally like arts thing. So that's when I introduced that concept of Yaga. And then at Rose of Charity, that's when I got introduced to the idea of girl empowerment, because Rose of Charity used to do workshops for the girls. And that made total sense for me, because Rose of Charity being an orphanage, they had all these orphans, they were taking care of the orphans. And I looked at it and I was like, you know what, but that's not really the solution, right? The solution is if there is a woman out there who abandons their baby or, you know, dumps their child in a bin, because I mean, just those stories that you would hear were just, you know, heartbreaking. But there has to be a story behind it. And I thought, if there's ever going to be a way that we could change that, it means we have to empower the woman. We have to put her in a position where she doesn't feel like, you know, she has no other option but to abandon their child. So it means we have to empower the, you know, the girl. So I fell in love immediately. I fell in love with that concept. So I was doing a lot of music, recording, even in the rural areas. Rose of Charity has their home in Sizinda, the rural area, and that's where I spend most of my time. So we do a lot of like short films, and it was such, you know, a great experience. And I thought, you know, this program to grow. And in 2015, I came across this organization called the Giving Circle, Global Soshing Giving Circle. They were based in the US. And they also fell in love with just that concept, what I was doing, working with the girls, helping to empower them through music and the arts. And they said, look, we want to, you know, join hands with you. We want to support your program. And I started getting you know, funding for that 2015 all the way to 2019. But somewhere along the way, you know, I got drawn into different things, you know, all really good. I went into hosting clients for that same organization. You know, they would have like their clients coming to visit, you know, to see the project. So I would do a lot of that. All good stuff. And then last year in 2019, because I was operating without, you know, I wasn't legal. So Young and Gifted Africans was operating, but it wasn't legal. So I had to set it up legally last year. And so that's when we got registered in 2019.
Oh, cool.
So that's basically the story of Gifted Africans. Yeah.
So this is the website address for anybody who wants to visit it. It's quite a cool website. I was checking it out earlier. So take a look, and if you feel like contribute. If you want to share it with some people, do so. We're going to take a moment now. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's watched and come and joined us so far. We would be grateful for any questions. Happy to hear any questions or input from you all. So this is a good time to drop them in now, because we've already hit 45 minutes and I want to try and keep it under an hour if possible. So put your comments in, put your questions in now, and we'll take as many as we can. But if not, if we don't get any questions in, then we'll start wrapping up shortly. So, Smokey, tell me what's the situation like at the moment with Yaga and the fact that everything's shut down there in Vic Falls.
It is. I mean, honestly, it's been an incredibly challenging time, you know, for everyone. I think for whether you were a business or a nonprofit or, you know, whatever, you know, this has been like the most difficult time. For me, it's been challenging because I, you know, over the years, I have built relationships with a lot of, you know, young people, and who really, you know, look up, you know, to me for support and that kind of stuff. And just the COVID pandemic, just, you know, it hit us at a time when we least expected it. And so you get trapped in this whole take care of myself, or, you know, what do I do? Because when resources, right, are scarce, you're like, what do I do? Like, how do I go about this? And it's been difficult for us, also because the way that we had set up Young and Gifted Africans was that we'd be getting most of our support from travelers, through tourism. And with all borders closed and the airports closed, I mean, you can guess it's been a challenging time. But that hasn't stopped us from still focusing on the arts and still working with the girls. And just last weekend, this past weekend, we did a food drive to some of the girls that we work with. We donated food packages for them, because I mean, people are starving. People are literally starving there. I had one of our girls who had gone for almost a week without like food, and they were like, "Look, if you please help us." And so my team and I, we had to put some money together and go out there to try and donate whatever we could, which also kind of brought us to the idea of setting up a GoFundMe. So a friend of mine from the US, her name is Lisa Woods. She has helped to create a GoFundMe page, which is probably going to go live tonight. That we're going to try and raise some money to help as many people as we possibly can during this time. For me, I think I've been I feel privileged, because throughout the years I have met people, I have expanded my network. There are people that I can tap into, when I'm actually going through, hardships. I can tap into a couple of people, even though also, it starts to get, what I mean? It starts to get, because you don't always want to be like, please, can I, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So still, I feel privileged that I have those people that I can tap into. But there's thousands of households out there who have no one, literally no, that they can call or ask for food. And I don't feel good. I can't sleep well at night. Even when I know that my kids have had, enough food. If I know that there are people out there that that need my help, I have to try something. I have to try something, and this is the best that we can do. So we've set up that, and it's going to fly out tonight. I'm going to be sharing it on my social media pages, and hopefully we'll be able to meet our goal. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, it must be even harder from the fact that a lot of the people are people that you actually know personally. So it's not a far removed situation like what most people are used to, where they think of some far away starving person, in another continent. This is people on your back doorstep who you know and socialize with and interact with on a daily basis. So it's heartbreaking, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You can't run away from that, right?
Yeah.
Because you are bound to bump into those people. Anytime you walk out your gate, you're going to meet somebody who knows you, who expects you to do something, to change their situation. So, I mean, you can say no today and no tomorrow, but look, this has been going on for more than 90 days. How long are you keep saying, I can't do this, I can't do that? And they see, because we have a center, we have a safe space right here, in the community. So they see the logo, they see the place, and they expect the help. So if you don't help, you become, why you become useless, to the society. It's like, hey, dude, you're just a pretty thing.
What are you here for?
What are you here for? Just shut down and leave already. So
they look at you like a toothless dog.
Yep. Unfortunately, yeah. And it's also understandable. I mean, I would feel the same if I were in their shoes. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we don't have any questions. So, and we've just hitting towards the 1 hour mark. So I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you everybody for coming and joining us. And thank you, Smokey, for taking the time out to come and chat to me and spend this time with us here. So thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, come and tune in next week, same time, same place, different guest. Next week, we've got Brito Maseko. Yeah. And Brito's a good friend of mine. We've got some good stories to tell. We've done a lot of work together. Again, a lot of my work with him has been filming and drone footage and stuff because he's been training paramedics and stuff like that and doing rescue drills. And because he's part of Ace Ambulance. So with Ace Ambulance, he was doing a lot of simulated rescue drills where they did a lot of training days, simulating actual disasters and simulating actual animal attacks. So I got some really cool photos to share of all of that and some interesting stories where we did some work together. I also did quite a bit of work with Ace in the Eastern Highlands in Chimanimani when the cyclone hit. So there's stories about that, but I don't think Brito was there. I think I was just with Mark and James at that stage. But yeah, so interesting guest next week.
He does a lot of, really, Brito also, he does a lot of really great iPhone photography. I've seen a lot of his,
his
he doesn't.
Are incredible.
Yeah, so it's amazing how he does it. Yeah,
absolutely incredible. And the thing is, the composition is amazing.
Before you walk away, Paul, I want to, just a shout out because I know this person is going to, she's going to hate me if I don't do this. I want to, send a big shout out to Alex, Alexandra Swenson. And I think you did some shorts with her, right?
Yeah, she did my raw clothes. We did some photo shoot together. But we've also just been friends for years as she's been in and out of Vic Falls and visiting and all the rest of it. Good mate, good solid friend from Sweden.
She was with me at the onset of Yaga, just when it was still like a concept, and she's really been there, from the beginning. So I really want to send a shout out to her and her mom Anika, yeah.
And also just before you go, give us your social media links so other people can find you.
Okay, on Facebook, my professional page is Smokey P at Smokey P Music. That's where you find me. On Instagram, I am. It's at Smokey_OMOBA, and I'll probably just type it also into the comments there.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I'm not very active on Twitter. I can't do shorthand.
Yeah, I'm too long-winded. I need to actually get what I'm saying out. I can't keep it down to a certain number of characters. I feel like they're taking away my right to speak. There's some love from Alex. She got your message.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks very much, everybody. That's where we're going to wrap up. Nice one, dude. Thank you so much. And don't be a stranger. Keep in touch, mate.
Of course, man. Always. And thanks for that beautiful footage. You did it, man. You rock.
Cheers.